It's a world full of walls, so let's imagine windows instead. Imagine windows that connect. Imagine windows that protect. Imagine windows that unite. Imagine windows that open minds. Imagine windows, not walls. Eternia.
At Eternia, we are on a mission to create the best windows the world has ever seen. And that is why every window in our product portfolio offers uncompromising safety, world-class aesthetics, and a customer service you would have never experienced before. But that's not all. We want these windows to fill our spaces, to fill our homes, our schools, our offices, and fill these spaces with laughter, with lighting, and with a lot of inspiration. But can we do it without the piercing insights of experts like architects and interior decorators? People who have spent their lives studying spaces and how it affects our lifestyle, our feelings, and most importantly, how it affects our behavior. We value this insight, and that is why we bring to you Authentic Insights, a platform where we will bring to you renowned architects to share their life experiences, to share their expertise, and how they look at spaces while designing it. How can you increase the lighting in the house? How can you increase the space utilization in the house? How can you bring more of the outside inside the house while at the same time keeping it safe, keeping it protected? How can you increase the aesthetic of the house with small changes? So we want to bring to you all of these through this platform, through their experience and through their expertise. What we also want to share with you in this is how Eternia can make a small contribution towards enhancing the experience of your house. We encourage them to share their Eternia experience, their honest view of the Eternia experience, our service offering, the nuts and bolts of our product, and most importantly, our people, Tribe Eternia as we call them. In effect, Authentic Insight is our small attempt to bring to you everything to do with indoor and outdoor spaces at your doorstep, and as a result help you create spaces which you and your family can cherish and create a joyous life around. It is our attempt to create a world which is ready to imagine windows, not walls. Thank you.
I welcome you all to the next edition of the webinar series on doors and windows in collaboration with Eternia Hindalco, Aditya Birla Group. And we are very happy to have you all here today to speak on the topic of blurring boundaries. Blurring boundaries will give you an insight on indoor and outdoor spaces. Today on this panel, we have with us our esteemed panelist, Pritika Manjrekar, founder of Moco Design Studio, a purpose-driven organization that is reimagining what cities say to its citizens through architecture. Anil Ranka and Architects has made its presence through innovative and timeless designs. Sunil Patil and Associates believes that the architecture is to create spaces which shall not just satisfy the functional needs of the users but shall become their companion in sharing the unforgettable moments in their life. Aijaz Hakim Architects is a diverse design practice that focuses on the final outcome of architecture and design. And our esteemed moderator, Mr. Nawathe. Avinash Nawathe Architects believe in carrying powerful experiences through creative design and efficient execution. Over to you, Avinash sir, to take this intriguing conversation forward.
Hello and good evening, everyone. It's really honor to have such a great architects on a panel, and it is going to be very, very interesting webinar. Basically, as we know, we as a human being are very much dependent on nature for our well-being. The nature is the most important factor for rejuvenating our energy, and also acts like stress buster, particularly in the city life. With advancement of technology, today architects are able to blur the boundaries between outdoor nature and indoor living spaces. In today's webinar, we are going to explore how eminent architects on our panel are implementing this concept in their design. We will ask them the challenges they face while implementing it and how they overcome the same. So, welcome everyone. It's really nice to have all of you over here. And I think I will first start with Aijaz. Aijaz, what are the challenges architect faces while integrating this indoor and outdoor spaces, and particularly in tropical climate like India?
Depends on the architect, whether you see it as a challenge or you see it as an opportunity to enhance your project. But everything exists in light. If there is no light, there is no architecture. You can't make architecture in darkness. Clients keep coming up to us and say, I want more light, I want fresh air. But they fail to understand that light is a form of energy. It contains both heat energy and light energy.
Exactly.
So you got to permit the light, you got to reduce the heat, especially in a tropical climate like ours. I mean, had I been in the upper latitudes, maybe that would have been the opposite. So when we do architecture overseas in different climates, there we allow the heat to enter. But in India, this has to be controlled. As we all know, the control of heat or light can only be managed through apertures. And that's where the doors and the windows come into place. So really, I don't see any challenge unless if you make it your own challenge, personal challenge. It all depends on how much you adjust your aperture to allow the correct amount of light to enter and the correct amount of heat to enter. And as we all know, tropical climates, this is a very important point. The second point is that since we are in a tropical climate, it's not just the light and the heat and nature, but we also have bugs and flies, which have a free flow. So I call the mosquito the Indian national bird because it's present everywhere.
Sure.
So you take care of these little creepy crawlies. That's another challenge. And as far as my brain thinks about it.
Right. Now that's exactly the point. Now we want light, we want that view to the sea. At the same time, we want in tropical country heat to be kept out. So the humidity and everything which makes the whole indoor space uncomfortable. And definitely as an architect, that is something that one has to look into. Sunil, you have been designing a lot of public spaces apart from the commercials and residentials. And also, I'm sure you're doing across the country. Now, first question to you is, even within the country, when there is a difference between the climatic conditions, how you address those in general? And particularly second question for you is when it comes to the public buildings, this integration of outdoor and indoor spaces, how you give your consideration in that aspect?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Avinash, let me tell you, this is very interesting topic for me because our firm's philosophy is harmony with the nature. We have been following it since the inception of the firm for past more than 30 years. So, that's because, it's my observation, it's normal, it's quite natural that our body tends to interact more with the nature than man-made spaces. See, the fantastic example is when you go to a multi-restaurant 5-star hotel, first you look for an outdoor sitting, right? I mean, first you inquire for the terraces. That's because our body tends to interact better with the nature than the indoor spaces. But of course, when it comes to architecture, I think that it is very important to have this merging of indoor and outdoor spaces. And India, being tropical country, it has predominantly hot, dry, and hot, humid climate. So the real challenge here is to maintain that thermal comfort for the indoor space when we have this kind of merging. But there are various ways to tackle it. Maybe we can have a buffer space between interior and exterior spaces, in the form of patio or veranda, which has something like pergolas on top of that, and that buffer space can serve the purpose to have to reduce the harsh radiation from the outdoor space to indoor space. And there are a lot of such tricks that we can do. And as far as you talk about entire India, I think India is one of the countries which has got various climatical conditions. We have snow here, we have deserts, we have jungles, we have a lot of, and I mean, mainly we have all kinds of climates that the world has. But then, since it is predominantly hot, dry, hot, humid, I think we look more towards that. Of course, in snowy areas, we have to altogether apply a different strategy for that. Sure. And I think this climate responsive architecture is something which is the key to sustainable architecture. So we have been doing that. And as far as your second question is concerned, that public buildings, this kind of spaces are very important for public buildings because however indoor spaces we design in India for public buildings, they're never sufficient as waiting spaces, because of the population, and all these offices are normally overcrowded. So this kind of spaces in the form of a courtyard or maybe a big veranda really helps to take care of those additional additional waiting area. And here also the challenges are same. If I have to give an example of one of my project in Pune, when we did that VVIP circuit house, we designed that central courtyard, and we were very careful while designing about its width and height, so that it remains shaded maximum time of the day and of the year. And we could achieve it. And that space is now really working very well for people to sit, because circuit house is something where, occupancy is invariable. Sometimes there are not even 50 people, but sometimes there are more than 500 people. So I think this kind of spaces where indoor and outdoor spaces are merging are really important in architecture. And how to tackle that there are various ways to design finish stations, to design buffer spaces, and we can do it. Yeah, that's right.
All right, great. Just in continuation with that same question, when you have those indoor green spaces, does it have challenges into maintaining it? Because your circuit house is a great example. I really like the building, but in most of the cases we have seen, of course, not in the circuit house, but all those indoor spaces created are mostly neglected. So do you think there has to be a proper balance between the whole aspect and approach?
Now, see, now if you're talking about maintenance-free buildings, that is not possible. But all the clients expect that give us something maintenance-free. That cannot be anything maintenance-free. There will be less maintenance. Of course, you have to maintain it, but to have that privilege of having that nature inside, of course, you'll have to compromise. So you don't have to maintain those spaces. You're talking about dust coming in or a lot of other things. Aijaz also talked about mosquitoes and all that. Of course, we have to have some remedy for that, or we can design some screens or something. Nowadays there are a lot of systems in the finish stations. There are very high-tech windows where there are built-in nets and all that. So I think we can take care of it.
Yeah,
but we should not miss that interaction with the outdoor spaces.
Avinash, if your natural element is going to be unnatural, it's not going to survive.
I agree. But the thing is, we as a human being want to have a cake and eat it too. So I know that is problematic, that is challenging, that is not every time 100% possible. I agree, but I'm just want to highlight this every aspect of it for the general understanding of the people. Right. And also, like you mentioned about the chhajas and other features to break the direct sunlight. And I'm quite sure that is also going to be a very interestingly used as a design feature in elevations and even overall visible aspect. I'm sure about that.
What is the biggest challenge in this part of the country is that wind and the sun both comes from the west. Okay.
Right.
You have to design some fenestrations with some kind of maybe louvers or fins or whatever, where it can avoid the radiation, but at the same time, it has to allow the wind, the breeze to come in. If you see the building that we have designed, collector office, that building is absolutely naturally ventilated.
True.
Only 10% of the building is mechanically ventilated. Rest of the building is all naturally ventilated. People are happy there.
Right. It is again a very, very great example. I must say that. Okay. Now that brings to my next question. This is for Pritika. Whether such integration is possible within the principles of green building consideration?
Hi. So that's, this is something that has really helped me is the green building considerations. Because whether it's the environmental considerations or going for the green building ratings, as we've all been going for our buildings, it's actually, for me, really empowered the building and me as an architect to be able to get this vision out and to really make it happen. So as an architect, of course, I have this vision that when you create a beautiful building and we're using the envelope of the building to allow, like everyone here is saying, to allow the user to interact with the outdoor, because that's nature, that's what brings you home. So you want to use this envelope in a way that we can interact with the nature. But then what happens when you finish a building and then everyone comes and puts their curtains or blinds down in a commercial complex, right? We are currently working on a lot of commercial projects, and then you make a beautiful project and it looks beautiful. It gives you this interaction with light and all other aspects of all the greenery and courtyards and terraces that you've created, right? The free-flowing spaces you've created outside. And then what happens when the users come and pull your curtains down? And that's something that's been a vision for me. And after the green building kind of integration happened, the magic wand has come in, because I have a lot of consultants now that we work with, that we co-create with, that we collaborate with. So recently, what we've been doing on all of our buildings is using the knowledge of, let's say, our facade consultants, our green building consultant, our acoustic consultant, coming together as a team and saying, let's solve these problems together, right? So, and also the interior designers, it's extremely important for us to collaborate with them as well. So, because it can't just be like, we can't visualize the building, but then the end user comes in with a designer and they need to kind of take that design philosophy internally. So to give you one example of a project that we're currently doing, it's a 4 million square feet on a 20 acres. So we've got a 2-acre forest that surrounds an IT park, and we want people inside the building to interact with this forest, right? So when we've done the facade with the help of the green building consultant, we have figured out, let's say, what's the WWR ratio needs to be 40%. And now how do we do that? So as architects, we've come up with a aesthetic design on the glass facade, which will block off lights strategically at spots, right? So that you don't have to get those blinds down strategically. You obviously have the UV factors of the glass, you have your DGUs, you will have a third layer of the screens coming where on the west side, as Mr. Patil said, or on the south side. And we're using, the acoustic consultant, of course, comes in because we're doing these projects on extremely high traffic roads, right? If it's on Nagar Road, you're talking about the lower floor is going to have to really suffer the traffic. So they come in and really help us understand how do we use green barriers, whether it's, landscaping, the trees, the coefficients, what are we going to do so that we can truly cut down, use that envelope to empower people inside so that we can use the outside, right? So that later on they don't come in and say, okay, let me shield myself from this beautiful building that they've made. And that's working. This kind of collaboration with different experts, vendors, so much knowledge out there, like everyone is saying, such incredible materials out there. So bringing it all together is helping.
Right. I mean, that's the very, very important to integrate all the experts, and particularly, as you said, green building consultant, because they have their own very substantial knowledge to share with, and we as an architect, if we integrate it, it is definitely going to make a perfect building. But the examples that you gave mostly are of a big scale commercial and townships schemes. But have you applied this concept of indoor and outdoor integration into gated community design?
Yes. So when I say gated community, I think the one project that comes to mind is we are currently doing an orphanage. And it's a really large orphanage, probably one of the largest we've done in the country. And that's also coming because it's an orphanage. The patron does want to make sure that the money goes towards the children, which means it's also needs to be very cost sensitive. And it is a gated community. It's a smaller community. It doesn't have the, the technology of a large IT park. But yet again, bringing the right consultants in, bringing the right knowledge and the vendors in, it is helping us to create that balance. How do we give the children that indoor-outdoor space and yet protect them? Because we don't have air conditioning in these rooms, right? So we need to use the right techniques of creating natural flow of the environment, orienting the fenestrations in the right direction, using the right angles of your fenestrations, making sure the desired light is coming in, but we are protecting them from the unnecessary glare. So it's all possible. I think that I always say this to the builders, that actually the environmental and green building considerations is definitely made our process of designing longer because of this certain rules and regulations we need to go through, but it is definitely sensitizing us.
That's really great. I wish we would have shared all the projects, but there is no time. But I'm quite sure most of the architects would be very much interested, those in the audience, to look into this particular project. I will come to Siddharth. Basically, he is from Hindalco, and considering all the points that we discussed, how you as a manufacturer applied this principle in affordable and high density gated community? Do you have any, can you throw light on that?
Yeah, sure, Avinash. So, I mean, first of all, hi to all the panelists here, and you all have, given your views on all the topics or all the questions that Avinash has raised, and where we come in is to make your visions, come true, right? So, just give me a few minutes to answer this. So one thing is pretty sure that, India being such a vast country, the climates are very different across different states, right? So the requirement of the people at different state also varies. So there is no one such system which can fit in all criteria. So what we had to do was we had to build a number of systems. I mean, we had to build a complete product portfolio where it can cater to even the people who are looking for a low cost system, but at the same time, it becomes relevant to them, because finally, the window is like an extended part of your wall, right? It's like a transparent wall, which is, there protecting you against wind, water, and air. And it was very important for us to see to it that any product that we are launching needs proper certification. It needs to be tested. And through testing only, we could come to know that which product can meet what criteria. So one aspect, as I said, was based on wind, water, and air. I mean, the system needs to qualify for high wind loads, for high rises, for low wind loads, for low rises. And the reason for making so many products was also to make it economical, right? Because a customer would be ready to pay a certain amount for his requirement. If you talk about Mr. Aijaz was talking about, there are customers who want more light. With more light, you have more heat. So if you want more light, you need to have bigger windows, right? So to make that possible, you need to have very strong alloys. So that is where, Hindalco decided to invent a new alloy. We have named it as deuterium, which is like much more stronger than the regular alloys which are being used in the market. And by doing so, we were able to design and develop and test bigger size windows. And when we talk about bigger size windows, more light, we will need a better insulating glass. That means, the glasses needs to be thicker. And if the glass needs to be thicker, the systems needs to be designed specifically to cater to those, heavier weight panels. It should be easily operatable. Finally, the end experience matters a lot and people pay for it. Sure. And if we are to talk about green building requirements, which Pritika had so beautifully explained about her project. So one philosophy here is on the design aspect, where you're placing the right product at the right place. You're providing louvers in front of facades to reduce the heat ingress, the light ingress, giving the apt amount of light inside the room, inside the office spaces. There is a second aspect to it, is on the kind of material that you're using to build a system. Like we have extensively worked with IGBC to get our products certified. So we have our Green Pro certified products. So how we have done that? I mean, there are certain criteria. One of them is it needs to have a recycled content aluminum. All the components that you're using in the product should be recycled. There shouldn't be a lead content. The VOC content needs to be low. So there are multiple other factors. It even talks about how much thermal efficient your window is. So to make that possible, we had to make our systems really, really, really sleek, so that there is lesser thermal conductivity through the aluminum. I mean, everyone knows aluminum being a good conductor of heat, but at the same time, it is much more durable than other materials. So we had to ensure that the frame ratio, the frame to glass ratio is low. So yeah, I mean, those were all the other, those were all the points that we as a system supplier, take into account while giving a right product to our customers.
Great. Now,
aluminum would be a bad conductor of heat, right? Not a good conductor.
It's a good conductor. It's being a metal, it can transmit heat easily, but we solve that issue by making the frames as sleek as possible.
If you're comparing it to UPVC, but if you're comparing it to other metals, it's a bad conductor of heat. That's what ICSE taught me, right? Metal
can transmit.
Steel would be a good conductor of heat.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. All right. Now, from gated community, let's come to some brownfield projects where Anil is very much expert into. So, Anil ji, I want to ask, have you ever undertaken any existing home improvement projects to enhance this indoor and outdoor connection?
Hi, when it's a renovation project, then certainly there are certain limitations, and we definitely do try to incorporate a lot of nature wherever possible, try to introduce skylights, try to introduce the apertures through which we can, pull in natural light, and we try to blur in the boundaries if we have large terraces, if it's an apartment. And as we know, traditionally, India is known for a courtyard chowk in the houses, and we have been staying in a joint families, maybe 3 generations together. So the beauty of a courtyard and the beauty of harmony with nature is, all the 3 generations can move out of their indoor spaces, blurring the boundaries, coming outside, and have a nice get-together gatherings. So that's how the places have been used. Now, as we have discussed, like being a humid climate, again, west, we have a light and we have a strong glare. So we need to really work on it, that how we have to control it. And as all the other architects have mentioned, there are various ways to control it, like having a good overhang sajjas on the southern side, so the heat directly does not come inside. Then we can have help it through jali work, which traditionally has been already used in quite a few places. We can have nice green curtains if possible, so that reduces the glare. At the same time, you get good light. So we really need to, deal into all these situations based on the client, based on the site conditions and the project. But definitely we try to incorporate, we make it sure we convince the client if they are not ready, if they say that it's going to be a big problem for maintenance, so we explain them that it's not going to be a problematic at all, but rather it's going to help you out. And we also have to keep into consideration, being a newer generation, they really want to be into air conditioned rooms, air conditioned areas. So what we do is we try to segregate the common areas and the private areas. And moreover, we try to make this public, the common areas, absolutely non-AC. So there at least we can have a natural ventilation. We try to provide courtyards. At numerous places, we try to pull in water bodies, and or else we cool the breeze from the south, wherein we cools with the water and the fresh air enters inside. So all this, wherever possible, we try to incorporate into our project.
Right. Now you mentioned number of features, but can you sort of pick one if I asked you to specify any architecture or design feature which while designing a home you would like to integrate so that this concept of outdoor and indoor spaces are really becoming integration possible.
So we somehow try to have a large covered sit out areas in the outdoor. Not
Okay.
open to sky, because open to sky outdoor places are absolutely not useful in the humid like tropical climate. So we try to provide covered rather than having a pergola, so that those becomes really comfortable and people can enjoy the outdoors much better way rather than having a semi shade. But if the site condition does not permit that, then we have the pergola, semi shaded covered spaces. So
Right.
that's what I told you, like depends on the site condition.
Really great. Now I will come back to Sunil. See, we have just mentioned about certain problems in implementing this concept, like mosquitoes and rain and things like that. But however, I would like you to further specify what are the challenges or drawbacks in while implementing this concept of integrating indoor and outdoor spaces.
See, I'm not saying it's a problem. We always work out details. Nowadays I said that as far as this mosquito nets are concerned, nowadays there are system windows which come with built-in mesh. So it has been now a lot of advancement has been done with the fenestrations and window systems. I'm not worried for that. But another thing in India is not just mosquitoes or your radiation or heat. People really want grills. They want security from thieves, and that is the biggest thing when we talk about big openings. And initially when a client, I'm talking about some residences, private bungalows. Client comes up with some idea that having a big opening where interiors and exteriors they merge, and they show some picture from abroad where you see a clean glass and view outside. But then when it comes to implementation, finally they all come to the thing like we want a grill. And now just imagine if we have that grill, it spoils everything. So we have come up with one solution for that, is that we these days when we have this kind of huge openings and where the spaces just flow out and in, then we have this rolling shutters, which are automated, which come down at night, and they're motorized. So this has really solved our problem. for these kind of things. And of course, for other things, mosquitoes and all that, that is not much of a problem nowadays. And as far as public buildings are concerned, we really don't do all that, because these are not used that.
See, in public building, it is not the mosquito, but it is the pigeons, which creates havoc.
Yes, yes.
And particularly in one or two public buildings I have experienced, they are actually creating, so much bad odor, and keeping them out is a challenge.
I'll tell you something. If you have seen this collector office Pune, there are vertical fins. But if you see the original design, we had horizontal fins. But there were a lot of debate and there were a lot of discussions like all these pigeons will go and create their homes. So I understand this is a problem, but you can't help it, because if you from that point of view, if you decide not to have any pigeons in your building envelope, that is absolutely not possible. But I would say that we can work it out. There are some things that we can really do. Nowadays, I saw one building. I don't know what technology they've used. Maybe something with some sound technology, but there was not a single pigeon. If you see this Marriott Courts, Marriott Suites building, on that building you will not see a pigeon. Maybe they have some technology to drive them away with sound and something. So I think that will be. That is sorted now. Should be sorted. Yeah.
Right. The last question to you, rather we are almost don't have time, but do you have a different consideration depending on the use of the building, like from public building to commercial building to residential building? So what are sort of integration concepts and these changes in the application you do?
No, if you compare these public buildings, which are mainly owned by government, and if you compare private buildings, which are commercial, there's a lot of difference. The difference is that, the client, in a public building, there are a lot of, there is not one client. No, I'm not talking about end users. I know end users are our client, I understand, but authorities, there are different authorities. Like there's one user department, there's one execution department. Like for example, in case of say cell tax building, cell tax is a user department, or in collector office, collector is a user department, and then authority in cell building, authority to execute is MSRDC. Here it is PWD. So what happens is like both of them think that they are the owners of the building, and then there are a lot of clashes in terms of requirements. Execution authority, they want to reduce the requirement because they don't want to spend on that. User department wants lavish things. So these are things, but when it comes to a private commercial building, I think we have a good liberty to, of course, convincing a builder is a big task. I understand that, but still we do have liberty to do things the way we want.
Yes. That's really great. I think we can go on for hours together, and whatever we have spoken, we have just on a very just touching the subject. We have not even gone into the deep into it. Unfortunately, time doesn't permit to do so. But some other time, I definitely would like to, have this interaction in a more detailed way, seeing the projects, seeing the references, and really making it very interesting, further interesting. So thank you all. It was really great to have you, and look forward to again have this type of interaction. Thank you.
Howling winds, leaking water, irritating noises, unwanted dust. Are your windows letting all unwanted guests in? Then it's time to switch to Eternia from Hindalco, an Aditya Birla Group company. Eternia are the world's only windows made with duranium. It is a specially invented alloy that enables Eternia windows withstand cyclonic winds and flaunt a stunning finish. Eternia windows are also Weaver certified. They are tested and certified in a globally recognized independent lab to to ensure that they provide superior protection from cyclonic winds, the heaviest of rains, noise and dust. These quality factory-made windows come with India's first 12-year warranty on profiles and a 2-year warranty on moving parts, so you won't have to worry about anything even after years of installation. That's not all. Eternia windows come in unlimited colors and finishes. You can pick the ones that match your decor. Go ahead and find a window that will transform your home.